So today my friend David and I came out to to try out a theory that we had been debating for a while. That is, we love the synthetic vision. It's very cool to look at. But if you were really in a predicament that you got into IMC, could you find the airport with nothing but synthetic vision? And as well, if there were a low cloud deck, would you be able to get down to the runway low enough to find it without being either too high or too low? All based on synthetic vision.
612 Papa Delta number 2, clear touch and go.
So we'll see here. It looks easy. It looks like you can completely see exactly what's going on through the synthetic vision. But you know, when I'm flying in the right seat and I'm not doing any work, boy, it really looks like, man, what am I? You know, why do people get their instrument rating? I mean, this looks so easy. You know, you just there's the airplane. There's the runway. You know, we did this a while ago just to test it out for the first time. And we looked at the video, I could see the white stripe at the same time as we were seeing the white stripe on the synthetic vision. So I'm thinking this should be a piece of cake.
Right. So, you know, the other way to look at it that we've talked about, if you've flown X-Plane or you've flown Microsoft Flight Simulator, in effect, you're landing with synthetic vision. It shouldn't really be any different than what we're going to try today.
Absolutely right.
But we want to make sure that we're pointing out we're not encouraging anybody to go out and try to fly effectively an approach with nothing but synthetic vision. We're doing it purely for our own interest.
So, you know, we are just going out to see what would happen in an emergency if we had to land and all we had was our iPad. And, you know, you didn't mention this earlier, Gene, but, you know, I'm not a IFR pilot. So what happens to me? I could find myself into a cloud. I could be in an emergency situation and somehow a cloud deck had formed below me. Could I get down? Could I land safely in that emergency situation, being a VFR pilot, using only my iPad? Would I survive?
Right. And as well, we're emulating, even if you were an experienced IFR pilot, but you lost your vacuum system, you had no attitude indicator, and you had no other reference to know if you were getting to the airport, would the synthetic vision be good enough to get an instrument-rated pilot there as well?
Here, Papa, right now, 1 for 1.
Clear to land.
Clear to land, 1-8.
And to make sure that nobody's thinking that David is really looking out the window or looking at the attitude indicator on the panel, he'll be wearing his view-limiting device, looking at nothing but the synthetic vision on the iPad.
Got the warrior in sight.
So here you go, David. I got the airplane.
Your airplane. I'm doing okay here, right? So I feel like I'm doing okay. I'm about to intersect the extended center line. I see it over there in my thing, in my on my what do you call it?
The God's eye view, or
synthetic.
Okay.
So my palms are sweating. All right. I need to be pulling some power off here, and I'm gonna kind of ease it in, trying to line up here, a little bouncy. I can see the runway, I just need to get over a little bit.
Are you looking up, and that's gonna be freaking people out. They're going to be claiming you're cheap. You keep looking up. I'm not sure what you're looking at.
I'm true.
You don't.
Wait till your turn, mister. I don't know what my altitude altitude is. Where is that thing on here? So, I'm at 1,000 feet. Oh man, I'm off to the side. I'm still off to the side. I don't want to turn too aggressively, but I need to get back lined up with the runway. What's my altitude? I'm below 1,000 feet.
Which you shouldn't have looked at.
Southeast of the airfield.
So obviously there's more difficult already, I can tell, because you're not able to have the confidence to rely on looking at.
No, there it is, right there. Well, I mean, if you look out the window, you're right. I was all over the place, but man, we'll go ahead and just go miss.
Let's go miss. Go back to the north. I'm going to give it a try.
All right. Yeah, it's your turn, man.
So again, we came out thinking it was going to be deceptively easy to pull it off, to fly the synthetic vision right down to the runway. But in watching David, he couldn't put his faith in the iPad. He kept looking up at the instrument panel, and I don't look at that as cheating. I look at that as the iPad did not give him enough confidence to be able to fly down to anywhere near the runway. But I'm going to give this a try.
Okay, you're on my court there.
Now, as David mentioned, he has not yet gotten his instrument rating. I've been an instrument pilot for probably 3 years, and I'm very comfortable in my RV, but now we're in a 172. I probably only have a total of 15 hours in a 172. So I'm definitely not at home.
Thanks for telling me that after we got in there.
Yeah. You might want to remove those while I'm doing mine.
Come on, we want to both be able to log this time, right?
That's right. So I'm going to use my high-tech Home Depot view limiting device.
All right. Sounds good.
I've only begun and I can feel the difficulty. And now I'm looking at the iPad, at the synthetic vision, and it's a very narrow little black ribbon. And all right, it's making me feel very high looking at it.
Yeah.
And I know I'm coming down really quick.
Yeah.
I'm off to the right, if I can tell that. AGL, that would be the equivalent of an ILS approach. I feel like I have the runway out in front of me. How's it looking to you, David?
Hey, it looks like you got it right out in front of you.
And at 200 feet AGL, I would be hopefully below the clouds, especially flying the synthetic vision approach. And we're now going to go around. So how did that feel? It felt good from here.
It felt pretty good.
I mean, the one thing I didn't do very well, I should have gotten out farther from the airport. I was at probably a 4-mile final when I turned in, and I was a little too high, and I had to try to make up for that. I'd like to go out and try it again from a 5-mile final.
Okay.
And have more time to line up.
Fair enough.
So let's turn it back out. Having tried it one time, I feel like attempt number 2 will be even more improved.
Okay.
But one thing I'm seeing is I can't rely on the image alone. I have to look at the image and the altitude data and the vertical speed data to make sure that I'm keeping the runway where I want it to be.
Yeah.
The image, I don't know why, but you don't feel a whole lot of depth to it. You feel like you're looking at a black ribbon on a flat field of green, which doesn't give you a whole lot of idea how high am I above that runway.
Right.
In fact, one point I mentioned it looked like a thin ribbon of black out in front of me, which made me feel too high. But I looked at the altitude on the iPad, And it showed a good altitude, so I left it there, even though it looked too high visually. Yeah, there definitely is a tendency to feel like you want to dive for the extended center line.
Yeah, so now imagine yourself, this is your first time to try this.
Right, no practice, no cheating and looking up, no safety pilot.
Yeah. It is. And also, you know, another thing, looking down is a lot harder too than just, you know, you kind of gotten used to looking up at the panel, right? So now staring at your lap.
It is a definite disadvantage looking down there.
And Gene, I think that might be...
I'm showing traffic right over the airport at 100 feet above us.
I don't see him.
Okay, he's there, right over the airport.
And while we're watching the completion of that approach, I'd like to take the opportunity to mention that Cloud Ahoy has donated 2 one-year subscriptions that I can give away to 2 lucky Patreon subscribers. And if you're not already a Patreon subscriber, you have until the end of the month, at which place I'll take a drawing of the people who are contributing, and 2 of you will win. So if you would like to contribute $1 or $2 to the making of my videos, you can find the Patreon link at the end of the video or in the comment section below the video on YouTube.
Cattle Mills traffic, 768 kilos, approaching a 45-degree entry for 18 Cattle Mills.
Better let him know we're here.
We're already...
Okay.
He's entered the 45.
Sherman traffic, RV 0 Mike Bravo is entering a left downwind 416, Sherman.
I'm at 300 feet above the runway. I feel like I'm lined up. I'm gonna go around.
All right.
And I gave up at 200 feet. So what'd you think, David, of attempt number 2? Better, worse? Better, different, the way?
Traffic 908 here.
I think attempt number 2 looked a lot better. So there was not that, and the first time, there was an overbank kind of a tendency.
Right.
You were a lot more smoother on the controls the second time. And so it looked a lot better, yeah.
Okay.
You know, we came in at a safer height.
All right. I felt high, actually. So I thought you were going to probably critique me that I came in too high based on what I had been watching. But evidently too high on the iPad was correct in the real world.
That's right. That's right. So it looked more natural on the second one, coming in a little high. You were a little high, but not too much.
Right.
Whereas before you were really kind of dragging it in.
Okay.
Now, you know, there's a couple schools of thought here, right? So, you know, if we would have been getting lower fast sooner, you were still in the first one, even though you're dragging in, you were at a safe altitude in terms of obstacles.
Yeah.
So getting down where you could see ahead of time, get a visual on the airport, may have been better.
Okay.
So,
and 2, if you look at it from the perspective that I'm trapped in IMC and I'm trying to find the airport, once I'm reasonably close to the airport, I want to get as low as I can within a safety margin to try to find that airport rather than drag through the clouds waiting to get closer.
That's right.
And I was trying to get the plane down to within 200 feet AGL before I declared finding the airport or not. And that was an extremely bad IMC day.
Right, absolutely. Departure 9. So you make a good point. So, you know, if you're in an emergency situation, would you rather have the iPad? I think absolutely. Having ForeFlight on your iPad, having synthetic vision in an emergency situation, that's much better than not having it. But, and here's the important thing, going on a marginal day, knowing that you have that to fall back on, very bad.
Absolutely.
We Tango Charlie would go out east for a little bit.
I was very, very uncomfortable knowing that I was not colliding with the ground.
When you're ready to set up for the
I couldn't tell, am I too high, am I too low? It's very difficult to alternate between looking at the synthetic vision and keeping track of the altitude tape and the speed tape all at one time and trying to keep the plane lined up. So despite the fact that I made it look like maybe I could have done it, After having tried it, I would never, in real world, want to give that a try.
Right.
I would be terrified to give that a try, in all reality. You know, and if we haven't pointed it out enough, we are in no way advocating that anybody should ever rely on synthetic vision to try to land an airplane, or even to get an airplane anywhere close to the runway.
Final should work out fine.
That's right.
Roger,
We were just nothing more than curious, could it be done?
That's right. And can it be done? Yes.
Well, I'm not even going to go there. As the Mythbusters would say, plausible. I'm not going to call it confirmed. I'm not going to call it busted. I might call it plausible, but you are definitely taking a huge, huge risk, even as an instrument-rated pilot, trying to fly the synthetic vision down anywhere near the ground.
Archer 95 Alpha, as you turn onto the final, you should see that Cessna ahead of you there about 2.25